Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Thursday, December 7th, 2017. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change. If it's Thursday, that can mean only one thing. Steve Wiltfong, Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Steve, how are you this fine, gray Midwest morning?
Man, Daniel, trying to stay warm, brother. It's going to be under 30 all day today.
Yeah, it's a tad bit nerply out there this morning. Kids had to wear the winter jackets. Let's talk about something that's heating up, and that's recruiting. As we all know, there is a new early signing period, December 20th to the 22nd. So we are going through this accelerated recruiting period right now for the first time. So things have gotten hot and heavy, especially with everyone knowing their bowl destinations, et cetera. Plans are being made. Obviously, for the Buckeyes, they got a lot better going forward. Got a commitment from Tyreke Johnson, the standout defensive back out of Florida, but there was just something cool about it. He did a commitment video through 24/7 Sports and CBS. Steve, why don't you take us a little behind the scenes, as it were, as how you set that all up and how we got Tyreke to go Hollywood for us.
Well, a person close to Tyreke reached out to me and asked me if we'd be interested in doing the video. And so with Tyreke being in Jacksonville and the CBS producers being in Fort Lauderdale, and with Bucknuts being what it is, it was a no-brainer for us to do it. And so Tyreke originally wanted to do it over Thanksgiving week when Shaun Wade was in town, but it was hard to get a producer for that week. So they shot it the following week, and Tyreke wanted some of his friends involved. And the quality of that video, it looked like a movie preview. I've watched a lot of commitment videos. I don't think one was as sharp as that one from just a HD standpoint. Color. I'm watching it again right now as I'm on his profile, and it's just sharp. Now all the words in it, all the talking, Tyreke wrote that himself. So super smart kid, and he was really pleased with the video, with the production crew. His dad was really pleased with it, and then when he saw the video, he was really excited by it. His family loved it, and I thought it was really sharp, and even heard from some guys around the Woody that they thought it was really well done as well. But again, I don't think it's as good if it wasn't for Tyreke writing such a good script for what a commitment means to him, and then the video came together around that. So that was all his words. CBS did not write those for him.
Very impressive. It lacked cheese, which I liked. There have been some videos put out recently that are just goofy and almost self-aggrandizing stuff. I thought that was really impressive. Just for everyone who doesn't know already, he's also a pretty good player.
Yeah, he's top 50 in the 24/7 Sports composite. I think we have him too low. He's a guy that's been debated in our rankings meetings, but at the Army game, in full pads, competing alongside the best, he's going to have a chance to hopefully prove me right. And because I think, he's 4.5 speed. He's as physically impressive a prospect as you're going to find in the secondary in this class. I think he has the traits to be an elite safety, but with 4.5 speed, he certainly has what you're looking for at corner, where Ohio State recruited him. And he's going to come in ready to go physically, and then be ready to compete. And he's a guy that he's just very physical and an aggressive, high-energy football player. And he's a guy that's also going to bring a leadership trait to Ohio State's defensive back room as well.
He's from Jacksonville, same high school as Shaun Wade. We didn't see a lot of Wade this year, but the idea that Johnson would follow him there actually makes me feel a bit better about Wade going forward, too. That was the good news of the week. Then came the disappointing news. Brenton Cox, defensive end out of Georgia, who's been committed to Ohio State for some time and is a very, very good player, chose to decommit from the Buckeyes. Not a complete surprise. Do you think I read an interview with Cox where he talked about how if he would have gone to Ohio State, it would have been to become a pro. If he would have gone to Georgia, or Alabama, I think mostly Georgia in this article, would be to hang out with his friends, essentially, or be around guys he knew. He talked about the defensive end from Georgia who was picked ninth by the Bears. I think it was Leonard Taylor, or Leonard. I messed up the last name. I apologize. But it does seem that, is it possible that Georgia's little run here at the end of the year was the tipping point for Cox?
Well, I think that anytime you take visits to schools closer to home, they become a viable threat. I mean, Ohio State, it's easy to see why he chose the Buckeyes. Did a great job recruiting them at a position where they've developed well at every position. So it makes sense why he chose Ohio State, but when you're Ohio State, you don't like seeing your commits taking visits to State U, especially when State U's in the playoff, or next door neighbor U, who's in the playoff every year. And those programs have a lot to sell right now too. And quite frankly, he knows more people in those locker rooms. He knows some people in the Ohio State locker room, but in the Georgia and Alabama locker rooms, he's known guys for years. And it's just easier to click up with those guys. And I don't know all the ins and outs of why Brenton Cox reopened the process, but it's hard to keep a kid that's several states away committed, especially when they're that good, let alone when they're then taking visits. Now, Ohio State, they do as good a job as anyone of holding on to guys. You look at Shaun Wade as an example. But that's not ordinary. Most guys taking visits from several states away, they tend to end up staying closer to home if they're visiting those schools that are within a car ride multiple times. And so certainly you see Brenton Cox taking those visits, it certainly raises an eyebrow. Now, you hang in there, you buckle down, you tighten up, and you try and keep them if you're Ohio State. And they're doing the same with Emory Jones, and maybe they'll keep Emory Jones. But I'm just saying, those guys taking visits to schools closer to home over and over, that doesn't bode well to keeping them in the fold.
No, it doesn't. And I can see the argument for Georgia for a dude that close by. I'm not
I mean, it'd be similar if Jackson – it's basically a similar scenario if Jackson Carman was committed to Clemson but just kept visiting Ohio State. It's 100% what it is.
Good perspective there, Director of Recruiting. I still think we'll get Jackson Carman, so and by that logic, it would be a direct analogy, if that's even the correct use of the terminology. Speaking, you brought him up, Emory Jones, the quarterback. The quarterback situation has gotten really interesting here down the stretch. There was a point in time I thought it would be kind of mundane. You'd be Emory Jones, and we're off to the races. But speaking of Southern guys taking visits to Southern schools, that does describe Emory Jones. Since that point in time, Matthew Baldwin, quarterback out of Lake Travis, Austin, Texas, quarterback factory, decommitted from Colorado State. Now I see some crystal balls rolling towards Columbus. Your vibe on the quarterback situation, do you think Emory Jones will stay? Do you think Matthew Baldwin will commit to Ohio State? How many quarterbacks will end up in Columbus?
Well, I think Ohio State will always have room for Emory Jones if he wants to stay. And then with Matthew Baldwin, he's a guy that had a great senior season that Ohio State brought to campus. They brought a couple guys to campus. They offered him, and they want him. And Bill Kierlich's been on top of that story, but following up with my own sources, I like where Ohio State stands for Matthew Baldwin right now.
Have you put in a crystal ball yet?
Yeah, I'm with Ohio State as well.
For Matthew Baldwin?
Yep.
Good stuff. Okay, so we know that. Where do you see this going with Emory Jones? Do you have a timetable?
No, I mean, Emory Jones, early signing day's coming up, so we'll know soon.
So you think it's going to be the kind of thing where he's going to try and put some drama into the day?
I really don't know. Again, he's a guy that doesn't talk that much, so you're looking at his actions, and he's taking a lot of visits. Well, he just, but at the same time, when Tyreke Johnson committed, he welcomed him to the family or the brotherhood or whatever, so I'm done trying to, I just don't know what to think anymore with Emory. It seemed like he for sure was going to go to Alabama, then Auburn gets in there, and then talking to another quarterback in this class, it seemed like Emory was a little worried that he maybe burnt a bridge with Ohio State, but that got rectified and isn't true. Ohio State's all in on Emory. They'd love to sign him. So maybe he sticks with the Buckeyes. Nothing would surprise me with Emory at this point.
That's interesting stuff, man. I don't know what that makes me think, but I guess there are some positions I wish kids were a little more clearly committed. Quarterback would be one of them.
That is the
Speaking
one.
of kids, yeah, no doubt. Speaking of guys who may have a decision in front of them, Christian Tutt, defensive back from Georgia, committed to Auburn. Yet if you look on the Google machine or the internet, you will see that he was in a establishment last night in Georgia, his home state, in between Kerry Coombs and Urban Meyer, and wearing a Denzel Ward jersey. I don't know if it said Ward on the back, but it was number 12. And considering the fact Christian Tutt is a defensive back and Denzel Ward, number 12, is the next multi-millionaire from the secondary at Ohio State, I would think that's a tactical jersey to bring with him. What's your vibe on
It's awesome
Christian
that they did
Tutt?
that.
Yeah, very cool. What's your thought on that? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think that Ohio State was in Christian Tutt's top 3 the whole time with Alabama and Florida State, and then he ends up at Auburn and was going to go to Nebraska. He was silently committed to Nebraska. Then Nebraska had a rough season. Auburn came in late, had a great season, and got him. I think if Ohio State would have pushed for him early, they would have got him. So he's a guy that's always loved the Buckeyes. So seeing Urban Meyer and Coach Combs go down there, do I have him on flip watch? No, but would I be surprised if he ended up in Ohio State's class? No, because I know how much he liked Ohio State from the onset.
We'll finish with this. The updated top 247 came out yesterday. Not too many changes. Teron Vincent, the highest-ranking Buckeye, as I look at it right here. I guess Jackson Carman has a chance to be that guy. What was the biggest argument player-wise among the experts?
Oh, man, let me look. I almost have to pull it up to look and see. I mean, there are guys that everybody kind of stands on the table for, you know, and it's not a really heated discussion. You know, there's just sometimes guys where one person's the outlier for, and then others are, you know, all in agreement. So then they stay low. I mean, Tyreke Smith got a big boost.
Well, let me give you one. Taraja Mitchell went from 117, or he moved up tremendously. Yeah,
so he's a guy that he didn't run really well in the summer, so you had some concerns about his speed. But then you watch him play, you watch him on his senior film, and where did we end up having Taraja? But he's a guy that I even
39.
brought up at the last. Right, so he's a guy I brought up at the last second. Again, are you sure he's at 39?
No, that was the composite. That's my fault.
Right. So
I'll read it to you.
But he's a guy that he tests. He's at 117, so we're still lower. But I can't wait for us to get eyes on him at Under Armour again, because he plays a lot faster than that 5-second 40 he ran, and he hits as hard as anyone. He is the hardest hitting second level player in this class, and he's actually got some pretty good quickness. And then you turn on the film, and he plays faster than a 5-second 40. But that 5-second 40 was definitely a red flag in the moment, and I think it even was for the college coaches. Now you still take him, but you're all of a sudden he goes from number 1 on your board to, I don't know, but his senior film is awesome, and so for me, I just, that 40 time, I don't trust it anymore after watching his senior film and the things he's doing in space and how quickly he's getting downhill and how quickly he's getting out into the flats and how quickly he's closing on guys. His first couple steps, I mean, he's a twitch guy, and then he's so powerful on impact. He's a guy that's a ranking that could probably make us look bad. And we have a chance to still get it right, and you know, we'll see him next to some other linebackers at the Under Armour game in full pads, and, we'll see how he moves compared to some of those guys in the same setting. But at Virginia Beach, Bishop Sullivan Catholic, man, did you watch his senior film? It's really good. It's a really good senior film.
Good football down there, too. The Beach is one of the more underrated recruiting areas per capita in the United States. So we appreciate Steve stopping by. You want to keep it locked and loaded here on Bucknuts. The recruiting information is going to be hotter and heavier than usual with the early signing period. Once again, that's December 20th. If you don't have a premium subscription now, you better go get one. You got 2 weeks of
you got Bill Kierlich
recruiting
and
coverage.
Alex Gleitman and everybody grinding over there. I pop in when I can. We got a lot of great experts, but appreciate you having me on and rolling with us, and it's a lot of fun covering Ohio State on the trail because it's nothing but great players.
And there you have it. Have a good one, Bucknutters.